Hey guys, Marshmallow here back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at a Inazuma 11 theory. Now, this isn't original, this idea I got from TXM Tom Sports. However, I felt his take was pretty weird, and I thought of many other ways they would go that felt more reasonable. I'm not saying it's a bad take on his end, I'm just saying it felt a bit weird for me personally, and it kind of gave me a lot of inspiration to do my own. So, this is if in Season 2, when Gemini Storm injured half of Raymond's team, forcing them to find new team members, what if it was the half that didn't get injured, got injured, and how would the season play out? So, instead of having, like Mark, Jude, Axel, all these players, a Jack Wall side that didn't get injured, what if they got injured and instead we had Max, Timmy, Sam, Steve Grimm, and Jim? These were our members. How would the season pan out? Now, obviously, we have Eric and Bobby. I think it's very reasonable to say that they'd still be here with us. So, how would this sort of pan out? So, I'd like to first say that the events would probably be quite slower, and this would play on the members a lot mentally. Obviously, they wouldn't know it's slower than how the other members do it, but the fact that it's a slow pace in which to advancing would play on them, especially because if we look at the first season, a lot of the players are sort of struggling with the fact that they're being benched all the time. So this need to get better being a slow process would be quite painful for them. There's a bit of bias with this bit, but I think Steve would be the captain. Now, I'm not just saying that because he's my favourite character, but he is, as shown in the Team Ogre Attacks movie, he's like the first member to join the football club alongside Mark. I think Mark would be willing to give Steve this captain role and would be like, known you for a long time, everyone knows you, you've got good strategy. We see in some of the earlier episodes he can hold his own against the likes of Eric and whatnot. He is a good player, and I think he would become captain. So, where do we get our first member? They obviously need members because they're not a full team. And because we have Eric and Bobby, who are they friends with? That's right, the defender from Kirkwood, Malcolm Knight. I think they just be like, hey, Malcolm Knight, we need your help. Would you be willing to join Raymond for a bit to help us take out Gemini Storm? And obviously, because it's a slower pace, schools like Kirkwood will have already been attacked. And Malcolm Knight be like, yeah, sure. Who else do we get? I think Steve would, be the first one to sort of try and get members with his new captain role. He's wanting to make an impression. So he goes to a Royal Academy to see what's up. And he finds that Sanford and King, they hear about Jude being injured, and they, like Jude, went and joined Raymond to fight Zeus to avenge them. They want to join Raymond to fight Gemini Storm to avenge Jude, and because they're his closest friends. So Sanford and King join, and also because Bobby was actually an ex-Royal player, there's a bit of synergy there. They're like happy to see him, and there might be a new move there, honestly. I think it would be safe to say that later down the line that Shadow would join. I mean, Shadow joins anyway, but he would be an actual starter this time because they're in need of members. Not to mention as well, because the events are slower, matches like Secret Service might not happen. They just kind of get to the scene, Lena's there, and Secret Service just aren't there. They're looking at like the aftermath, even after Secret Service have been, and so certain teams and matches won't happen. So they go around and they need the speed to beat Gemini Storm. So obviously it was Lena's idea in the first place, so she gets the team to recruit Sean. And this is fairly similar to what happened, Raymond still don't have a full team, but they go and get Sean as normal. He shows off his defensive abilities and his offensive abilities, and he agrees to join thanks to the encouragement from the other Alpine players. So, moving on further through the story, they kind of, they get past Gemini Storm and whatnot because Gemini Storm get a bit too cocky or whatever. And they go to Foshaw. So, when they go to Foshaw, Darren isn't, Darren's a bit scared. He doesn't really want to do anything. And so, he stays as midfielder. He's not so sure about himself and he doesn't really show off his abilities. And so, instead, they recruit the captain of Foshaw, which is Lucky Man. He's a bit more of a commanding presence. He's got the team tactics down. He can add a lot to the team beyond his moveset and his skills, and that's what they really need. And he's sort of like the Jude to the original Raymond, where you've got Marcus the captain, but Jude is sometimes the captain and is also very much just a vice captain or whatnot. This is Lucky Man's role. So, Lucky Man joins the squad, and shortly after this, they go back to Raymond and recruit Felt from Brainwash. He comes, he's like, guys, I want to help you out. I know you've got King as a goalkeeper, but you need a second goalkeeper. I have some crazy things. And they get through the Dark Emperor's strat with Jim, and they work on Jewel Smash. So it's a whole brand new take on goalkeeping, having a defender and a goalkeeper doing a kick to stop the shots. And this is what helps them surpass Epsilon, which will happen later down the line. Not to mention, real quick, that Royal Redux won't be happening quite the same. So they go to they go to Okinawa to confront Epsilon, because they still have to go down there because of the whirlpools and whatnot. And it's also just where Epsilon are. So they go down to Okinawa to fight. But they don't see Hurley Kane. He's just like a surfer. He's not a footballer. So they get helped by the ever so helpful Dora Delight. And Steve's like, you've helped us out a lot, and you seem to be quite a good midfielder. Why don't you join the team? Help us out a bit. And then they go on to beat Epsilon. So Royal Redux from this point doesn't happen the same, because obviously Sanford and King are on the team. They don't recruit Jude because Jude's still in hospital and whatnot. So Caleb Stonewall goes. He's still part of Royal Redux, but they instead recruit Hatch from Royal Academy. Hatch is just distraught. They've been left just to be weak. They've lost their 3 arguably best members of the team. They've become a much more of a powerhouse, rough team with a... Because, they had it before with moves like Breakthrough and Killer Slide, but they've not got the tactical advantage that they had from the players like Jude, Sanford and King. So now they're just a lot more aggressive, and their teams become very different, and they've actually all kind of grown sour to the thought of players like Sanford, King and Jude. So Hatch joins Royal Redux with very little struggle, honestly, and he works on a new version of Wrathshot, triple Wrathshot with Caleb and, I don't know, the clown guy. Anyone really, but it's triple Wrathshot. It's the super strong move. So yeah, that's what sort of happens with Royal Redux. It's a very tough match, but thanks to it's pretty similar to how it goes normally. Thanks to some sacrifices and whatnot, they are able to beat Royal Redux. Triple C goals, by the way, don't happen. The whole thing with bumping into Todd and whatnot, that doesn't happen. Sue Hartland doesn't meet Eric. Also in the match against Royal Redux, Sanford wants to learn a new move to beat Hatch and the team. He wants to show them that they've evolved and they're different now. They've kind of grown and gone onward, and they don't need Raydark overshadowing them. So he works with Max from the original Raymond and learned Lightning Penguin, which is a new move, which is Emperor Penguin mixed with the Raymond Spirit. It's a 2-player move, and Max uses his sort of wind moves like Gale Dash and whatnot. He uses that sort of part of him to create this electrified storm in which Sanford then kicks the Emperor Penguin through. It's sort of like a weaker Emperor Penguin 1, then it goes through this electric storm, and they become like electric penguins. So it's on par with Emperor Penguin number 1, but it doesn't hospitalize him. Wrathshot will do triple Wrathshot will do a similar thing. Again, triple Wrathshot isn't a normal move either. This is something I've just come up with. And it hospitalizes Hatch like it Beast Fang and Emperor Penguin 1 did with King and Sanford. Also, King does Savage Beast Fang like in Ares. It's like a weaker form that doesn't kill him, essentially. And then finally, they go on to fight Genesis, and they need more speed in the team. So Lena comes in clutch. She's like, you know what? How about instead of trying to beat them in speed because they've been outclassed by speed by all the Alias teams, up to now by quite a bit. They've struggled a lot, and obviously Genesis are way stronger. She says, instead of trying to beat their speed, why don't we slow them down? And that's when they get Aphrodite with Heaven's Time joining the team. Also, Aphrodite is very strong, and instead of having the Earth as their move, it's more of like a lightning-based move again. I don't know what it would be, but it is one that involves the whole team, very similar to the Earth, with players like Sam, Timmy, Eric, Steve, and Max being the sort of main people doing the shot, even though it's a whole team shot. And I think rather than it being like 3 players do the shot with the powers of everyone, it's actually a shot that requires all 11 members. So like creating this static, spinning the ball back and forth between themselves. And it just becomes this massive electrical field that, again, instead of just being so strong that it beats temporal wall, it stuns the keeper, essentially, before it even gets to them. It stops the keeper from being able to move and gets in. There's a bit of a thing between the team and the members whether it's morally right to be using such a move, but at the same time, they know that the safety of Japan and the other players that they're friends with and whatnot rely on it, so they do it, it goes in, and then later on, Lightning Penguin also goes in, making it a 2-1 against Genesis.